Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program and the Swedish Space Spiders. Last time we left off at a point where I had done a moon flyby, and today is the day that we're gonna both land on the moon and on Minmus, not in the same mission though, so this video is gonna be a really long one. And for this moon mission I thought I would do some kind of Apollo style like mission. That's why I have that docking port up there and some RCS thrusters. Yes, I named it, I think it is, I can't really see here, I think it says Acapella 2 or something like that, because I wanted it to sound something like Apollo but not Apollo itself, because that would be a little weird. And yes, you can see here in the build I am building now the lander module itself, and that is, like all my crafts, way overpowered and has way too much delta V for what it needs to do. And I put that science container on sideways. I thought that would both look nice and be practical. So it's not gonna be too tall, was my initial thought. Because I really don't like when my crafts have something like a small little tower just coming up out of nowhere in the build. It can be, it can look nice, but in this build it was just not right. And I dragged in the engine there a little bit as well. I forgot the name of that engine. I'm not that good in general with the names of different engines and stuff like that in the game. But I think I am gonna put the Terrier engine. Yes, that's an old friend that I know of very well. And oh yeah, I didn't really know how much fuel I would need to land on the moon. Of course I need somewhere around 500 meters per second of delta V, but it was hard to calculate when I had these different modules stacked like this. And yeah, I thought of having a little nose cone there on top of this module and not have the fairing go all the way down, but yeah, as you could see, that looked ridiculous. And sadly enough, I only bring one Kerbal down to the surface, and I think it was the pilot. So I couldn't reset those science experiments once I had landed, which I guess I'm fine with. I only needed to do them once when I was landed, and I think now that I also got the idea that maybe I should bring some sort of, oh no, that was another thing that I thought of. Now I'm blending things together. Anyhow, I was thinking that landing stage, the first stage of the lander, I was gonna put some sort of antenna on there, or relay antenna, and also have a small probe core. But I think I abandoned that idea. Maybe I did that for my Minmus mission. I can't remember, but we will probably see in a little bit. And right now I'm deciding what to do with the boosters that I need on the sides here. And like my last rocket, as you can see, I decided to take the approach of having solid rocket motors as my side boosters for this rocket. Because I didn't have that many other choices. I could have had some solid rocket boosters, of course, but they're I just like to have the possibility to throttle down if needed. And well, you don't have that with solid rocket boosters. They just boost you into space. And at least I'm experiencing some lag when I'm watching this back now. Maybe it's something wrong with the recording. Hopefully it's not too bad. Anyhow, I'm going through the atmosphere, decoupled there. The first stage and the second stage. Now we're on the third stage. And I initially thought I would have just one of those tanks. I have two, as you can see on the left hand side of the screen at the bottom there. I have two of those. I don't know how tall those engines are, or those tanks are. But anyhow, I thought I would have two, then I decided to just have one. No, I thought I would have one, but then I decided to have two, because I didn't think it was gonna take me all the way into orbit. And I was right. It barely took me into orbit. And now I did the little docking maneuver that Apollo made with the front module turning around. But I think Apollo did that one when it was on its way to the moon, right? Well, not the moon, the moon. I mix those up every time. All the time, I would say. Which is not that handy when you're speaking to people that don't play Kerbal Space Program. Anyhow, back to the footage on screen. We are now going to intersect the moon, not moon, the moon that is called the moon. In this game, Kerbal Space Program, yes. We are now going there and doing our first little burn. And as always, you're also gonna see on the way back, like I think I said that in the last video as well, that I always overbuild my rockets just so I know that I will have enough both Delta V and space and stuff for my Kerbals to be able to get back, because I never want to strand any Kerbals. The Blunderbirds don't have to come and rescue me, hopefully ever. Maybe if I send somebody out to like Elu, or maybe if I put someone down on Tylo sometime. Because Tylo, I actually don't think that I have landed Kerbals on Tylo and gotten them back, like ever. And I would definitely have to do that sometime. But anyways, now we are going in for the landing, and I decided to land in this crater here. I actually land in this crater like every time that I start up a new save and go towards the moon. I always land in this crater. And my thought of that is just that if I land in the crater, then I know that I've landed in that crater. And I don't have to look up like where my flags are, or have to remember by just pure memory where I landed. Instead I can just, okay, I know I've landed in that crater, so now I can go somewhere else, in some other crater, or maybe on the Midlands or something like that. So I know if I need to go back to get some initial science real fast or something like that, I know that I can go into one of those other biomes. And we're picking up a moon rock now, which is something that I actually haven't done since, like, I think it only was a couple of weeks ago actually that I realized. No, I was probably a month or two ago where I realized that you can actually pick up those moon rocks. And of course, planting a flag there. Always need to have that flag handy. But yeah, like I said, I didn't know that you could pick up those moon rocks. I only thought that the new surface anomalies and stuff was a part that you could use to well, what do you say, scan with those scanning arms and on rovers and stuff. I didn't know you could actually just interact with them with a Kerbal. Anyhow, now we are on our way back to our main ship, and as you could see, I actually counted this craft out pretty well. I had more fuel than needed in my first stage. The landing didn't take as much fuel as I thought it would. But this stage was pretty much spot on. I only had like 100 meters per second or something like that left, which is I would say a good buffer to have left when you're doing something like this. Because a docking, especially when I'm trying to dock things, I want to have initial fuel, a lot of it. Because you never know if the docking is going to be difficult or take a lot of fuel or time. And just deorbiting that lander can now that the science is in the main module and all the Kerbals are in the main module. So we don't need to think about them anymore. Or that anymore, that lander can. We have to think about the Kerbals, of course. And now, as you can see, I'm going back to the KSC, and I do have, I can't really see here, but I don't think it's 1,300 meters per second, but I think I have a couple of hundred meters per second left in this vessel, which is always good to have. Didn't need it though. I have not a heat shield, but this cupola module, this capsule, if you would. Yeah, the capsule is probably the right word for it. This capsule has ablator shields like built into it. I don't know though if it's like built into it all around or if it's built into it only on the like bottom part of it. I've never tried going in head first with it, but it makes sense that it would be all around it, since this thing doesn't have any RCS or any reaction wheel control at all on it, which actually was a really big problem for me in the beginning of using this this module, this little capsule, because I rarely think of putting on a small reaction wheel on something like this, because I'm just so used to using the other capsules. So when this one was introduced and it didn't have any reaction control, it was very confusing. And yeah, there I decided to take Val this time to go to Minmus, because I had only flown with Jeb by this point, I think. And I think this is gonna be their last flight for a little while, because in the next one we are going to Juna, but I'm not gonna bring any Kerbals there. I'm just gonna fly a rover there, which is gonna be an interesting video. But I did this video a little bit longer. I don't know if I've said that already, but I made this one a little bit longer with both the Moon and the Minmus landings, just because I really want to get to the more fun stuff, going around to a little bit bigger planets and more interesting places like, yeah, Juna or Eve, even go out to maybe the little planet Dress that everyone has forgotten about, but not me. I actually like going to Dress. It's an interesting planet. It's just this little moon-sized planet that circles around in an empty void, or what would be an empty void, but it's not empty because you have dress there. Although I gotta say, I really loved. Oh yeah, and back to what's happening on screen. We are launching, and with some new parts. Now we have the skipper engine there, and some bigger fuel tanks, and 2.5 meter fuel tank parts, which are. I really love those parts. I think those are the easiest ones to build rationally big spacecrafts with. If it needs bigger boosters than the 2.5 meter parts, then I know it's a little bit too big to be necessary. But then also it maybe be a little bit bigger than needed, but it's also probably more fun. So I'm definitely gonna keep on building with bigger parts as well. Anyhow, we are now doing our insertion burn to go to Minmus, and we got a little bit lucky here when we launched that we were or Minmus was in the right place to intersect the right angle that we came from. And now we have a little mid-course correction to do here, and I guess I took away that maneuver node to just eyeball the rest of that burn, which is something I do a lot, especially the end of every big burn. I like to just get away that maneuver node, so I don't have that pointing out to me, oh, you're not exactly like you thought you would burn. But many times that makes it easier to just visualize what is happening. And yes, of course, gathering all the science that we can right now. And now we're gonna try to get into orbit, and we're actually getting into a polar orbit. We're not gonna stay in this polar orbit though. Of course, we are gonna land. And it looks like the last stage there is almost out of fuel now, just resetting those science experiments with our scientist. And I always forget, is it Bob or Bill that is the scientist, and which one of them is the engineer? Yeah, I write it down in the comments for me, because I really need to learn this sometime. I'm so bad at knowing these things. And anyways, we are going in for our landing now, and I'm trying to aim at to land somewhere near this little the little arm that is sticking out there. You can see where I land, because I want to do a couple of hops. I do have a lot of fuel left in this stage, so I'm gonna do a couple of hops here on Minmus to get some more biomes and get a little bit extra science from this mission. And that's also why I brought my dearly beloved scientist. If it's Bill or Bob, like I said, can't remember, and I can't really see here either. Oh, it's Bob. Okay, it's Bob. Now I know that. I have to try and remember. Anyways, we brought Bob, so now I have just reset those experiments, and now I am pointing out to the side, and I'm going up on that little ledge, which I think is the lowlands that I'm gonna get to first, and then I'm gonna do a second hop. Yeah, it's gonna be the second hop, and we're gonna land at the Midlands, which is a little bit further away over there at the more darker parts. And I also think that you can get Highlands somewhere near here, if I just had gone a little bit further, I would have got the Highlands as well, but I think I didn't have enough fuel for that. We'll see. It actually was a couple of weeks ago when I played this, and I'm doing the videos now later on because I got this brilliant idea of making videos out of this and not only uploading the whole stream. It occurred to me a little bit late that most people might not want to sit and look at a 3-hour or 4-hour long stream. But I totally get that people don't want to do that because it is tedious. A lot of things are happening. In Kerbal Space Program, I really like watching myself, or no, not watching myself. I really like to watch other people's videos when they speed up the footage like this, because it can be a lot to take in with all those science experiments that you do all the time. It's very time consuming, and seeing that real time, I understand that's not the most interesting thing to look at in the whole world. So I really understand why people prefer this method. But anyhow, now we have done all the science that we need to unlock a little bit more of the tech tree. So now we just need to survive our way back home. And we do have not too much delta V left, but we are gonna end up with about 100 meters per second of delta V extra that we didn't spend on this mission. So this mission was actually kind of, in my standards, it was on the line of what I'm comfortable with. I would have liked to have even more fuel left, but 100 meters per second left. That was just what I needed. And I'm just trying to do some other extra science experiments there that I don't think I got most of them. Anyways, now we can unlock a whole bunch of new things. We have we had 2,000 science. And like I said, the next mission is gonna be to Juna with a little rover. That video is probably gonna come up pretty soon. I'm trying to work on all of these videos as fast as I can. But anyways, it was very fun playing this. I hope you enjoyed. And like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.